Alright, how's everyone doing? 'Tis I, Waifu Selector, and on this day I am here to talk to you about Cult of the Lamb. Now, if you've never heard of it, Cult of the Lamb is a new game by developers Massive Monster and published by the indie publishing king Devolver Digital. And I don't know about any of you, but I've never heard of Massive Monster and I've never played any of their games. They've developed such games as Adventure Pals and Never Give Up. Two games I've never heard of, and I'm sure most people haven't. I doubt they would disagree with me if I said that Cult of the Lamb is their biggest project to date, just in terms of general awareness. So anyway, as you may have guessed, I have played Cult of the Lamb, and it is for that reason that I figured I'll take some time out to chat about the pros and cons and ups and downs of this game for the benefit of whoever is willing to hear it. So now, with the intro out of the way, let's get into this. Now you might be wondering, what the fuck type of game is this anyway? Well, like every indie game in existence, it is a roguelike, whatever the fuck. But hold your horses, it's not just a roguelite, it's also a management sim, oddly enough, and maybe even more odd than that, this pairing of genres actually works out really well. Seriously, if you were ever worried about the blending of these two genres, don't be. And if you thought they would work well together, I'm willing to bet that they work out even better than you expected. That's how well I think this little mix-up was executed. One of the big things I noticed while playing this game, especially near the beginning, was that it wasn't trying to kill me. Allow me to elaborate. Oftentimes in the roguelike genre, the entire point is to force you to die, the key word being force. And to emphasize the hook of the game, usually very early on you will be met with something that feels cheap and unfair and is intended to kill you. Not only does Cult of the Lamb do away with that gimmick, but it completely does away with the expected difficulty of most of the roguelite genre, and in doing so manages to achieve all of the same rewarding trappings of the genre without the petty annoyances, and I found that to be really impressive and enjoyable. But what about the management part of the game? Well, I'm happy to say that it's really fucking good. In my opinion, it's as fun to play as any management sim can be, maybe because it's rewarding, you know? Your settlement is never stagnant for very long, and you're always getting new doctrines to pass, or rituals to perform, or structures to build. And if you do get your cult to a motionless place where there isn't much for you to do around the settlement, that's where the roguelike crusades come in, to provide you with fun resource gathering combat scenarios that you can just continue until your cultists need you again, like if their faith in you begins to wane or they start to starve. It actually really is one of the better gameplay loops I've played all year. And like I said, with the tedium cut out of both the roguelite and management sides of the equation, there's very little burnout. That is to say, this can likely remain fun for as long as it needs to be, and not just to hardcore gamers who revel in the toughest challenges. But if you are that kind of gamer, another thing Cult of the Lamb has that a lot of roguelites don't is difficulty settings. It's not just one set difficulty, you can actually tweak it. Your options are the standard easy, medium, and hard, with an added extra hard for good measure. So if you prefer something a bit more punishing, I'm sure extra hard has you covered. Although I can't speak from personal experience there. I played the game on the developer intended medium difficulty, so that is where all my impressions are coming from. Godspeed if you went on extra hard. But okay, so far I've pretty much just been singing this game's praises, but rightly so. This is a mostly purely praiseworthy game, but by the rules of the internet, I am obligated to say something negative about it. Obviously, that's a joke, but Seriously, I think the greatest drawback of this game is probably that it doesn't particularly do anything new. I mean, what I said about its roguelite elements is true, but it's not that it added some new ideas to the roguelite formula. It's more that it removed some that worked to the game's benefit. It removed that aggressive barrier of entry that we're all used to, and on the management side, I literally don't think it's anything we haven't seen before. What Cult of the Lamb uses to set itself apart is mixing these two genres together, but both of those genres are established and you didn't really add anything to them. However, that proves to be a mostly inconsequential fact when you experience how well these two established genres complement each other. Like, yes, peanut butter and jelly have existed and been enjoyed, but if I was the first guy to slap those bitches together and feed it to you as a sandwich, you'd still be like, hey, this is great. What a good idea. So yes, the game doesn't feel wholly radically original, but it's such a butter on bread discovery that it almost offsets it, you know? But yeah, moving on from that, I do have to mention some technical hiccups. Now, personally, I've currently played this game for about 12 hours and completed it, saw the credits and all that, and I went 11 of those 12 hours without an issue in sight. However, within that last hour, my game did freeze and force me to close the game twice. So I just wanted to disclose that. Further still though, a friend of mine had many more issues where his game was freezing during his rituals and forcing him to reset, and upon resetting, he would find that he lost the resources required for the ritual, but without the benefit of the ritual, so that's a horrible bug. He also encountered a glitch where upon entering a new room, the loading screen would remain, but he was able to control his character in the background, effectively making it so he couldn't see what he was doing and would no doubt be killed. He also sent me another glitch where like a hit animation or something just wouldn't stop repeating on an enemy, and it was just making the screen shake, and you know, you're hearing this noise just infinitely happening. You know, the point is, the game is not bug free and it has not launched in a perfect state. I personally didn't find the bugs in my experience too egregious, but you're talking to someone who liked Cyberpunk back when it first launched, so do with that what you will. But yeah, it's also worth mentioning that both my friend and I were playing the PS5 version of the game, so it's entirely possible that other versions run smoother, and like I said, I went 11 hours no trouble, so you may just get lucky and not experience any problems. Who knows? But I did think it important to report that stuff. So yeah, to recap and wrap up, this is a very accessible and fun game. It is not as difficult as something like Hades or even Returnal, and it is clearly not a purely original endeavor. Even aesthetically, the DNA of the Binding of Isaac is all over this thing. Even if I personally prefer Cult of the Lamb's juxtaposition of cute animal people and the demonic setting to what Isaac presented, the influence is impossible to ignore, you know? And even if all the gameplay ideas in this game have been done, they haven't all been done this well and at the same time. So that's a big plus. The story, the little tale being told here isn't great, but it doesn't take away from anything. If it were good, that would have just been icing on an already sweet experience, you know? All in all, I think this is a really great game. If I had to put a number on it, I'm feeling like an 8 is appropriate. Maybe even an 8.5. I don't know. Get back to me on that one. It's a great game though. I would recommend it. I think you should go play it. It is very appropriately priced at $25, so you won't have to break the bank for it. That's always good. But it'll be well worth that $25, I think. I haven't gotten all I can get out of Cult of the Lamb. I'm planning on playing it more. Oh, and by the way, if it seems like I wasn't hitting on all the specifics of every single thing you can do, that's for two reasons. One, spoilers and all that, I guess. And two, if you've played any management sim or roguelite, you've seen all these mechanics. They just have a demonic coat of paint on them for this, okay? But yeah, that's all I've got to say. If you've played Cult of the Lamb, feel free to share your comments and opinions. You can tell me how dumb and wrong I am and call me all sorts of horrible names, but try to be respectful of anybody else, huh? Okay, until next time, I am Waifu Collector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I'm gonna go join Scientology. Goodbye.